Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So I officially welcome everyone to this once again a wonderful session on literature review, the different frameworks that are available, and how to proceed with the literature review. Apart from that, I would be just adding a little flair of how you can use your AI tools. This is not with Bolanath sir. I have done, I guess, more than 4 5 workshops on this particular, and still I see there are a lot of people who are curious to know more about how you can use AI tools, and it is really interesting. And you all would be surprising. This is my for this day, same day today. This is my second workshop on AI too. In the morning, I've already taken one of the workshop with one of the university. They had an online on their research, and again, I am into the how to go ahead with the literature review and how to proceed. So, without any much delay, let me first make yourself clear when you are looking into the literature review. It is very the name as such it says it's you have to review the literature. What is the purpose of reviewing it, that we will need to understand, and accordingly we have to frame, we have to understand how to the process and how to present our data. So that need to be done. So without any much delay, let me share my presentation. Just give me 1 second. I'll just share just 1 second. I hope my screen is visible to all. Yeah, great. So let me start with literature review. What basically literature review is. So as the name says, it's a systematic literature review. So there is a proper, because when we are using the word systematic, it means what? There is a proper process, a step-by-step way to review the papers, to organize the papers, and then come out with an outcome. So we need to understand what is my input. We need to understand how we have to process that input, and then what kind of output we want. Because when you are reviewing a paper, you need to understand, is this paper will provide me a research gap? Is this paper will provide me a kind of a theory that I'm looking forward? What kind of theories? Is this paper is providing me any kind of future scope that I'm looking forward? So that need to be, yeah, please.
Ma'am, hello.
Okay. Uh, but it is showing presenting, but why it is saying stop? Okay, just a second. Again, I'll share the screen. Now is it visible?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Now
Yes,
it
it
is
is
visible.
visible now.
Okay, great.
मैम
Fine.
अभी भी
So
विजिबल
as
नहीं है.
अभी भी visible नहीं है?
नहीं
Now
मैम.
it's visible.
Now it's visible.
It is visible, ma'am.
मैम
Okay.
साइड विजिबल नहीं है.
Uh, is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Anju ma'am, can you please rejoin again?
Okay, ma'am.
Please. Okay. So, as its name says, It is basically what you are trying to do. You are trying to provide uh, an answer to a research question. So it's very important, as I've already mentioned, it is very important to understand what kind of review you are making it. Because when you are looking at a particular literature review, and as a methodology you're looking into, you need to see how significantly a paper is contributing towards the concept or towards a methodology, or it is developing some a theory, a new theory, or it is providing some evidence for some future, for some different domains, interdisciplinary of it. So that all need to be understand when we are looking into the review part. Now, this literature review was basically addressed to healthcare and medical papers. It was very focused to these domains. But now social science has also gained very much into this. Now they are trying to look into the how we can provide a, a process to our literature review, how we can organize our literature review. And that's why this is the workshop that we are looking into, how we can summarize, we can analyze and synthesize with our the papers that we can get from the any database that you can talk about. So, in nutshell, if I look into review provides basically the readers with an understanding of the topic that we are looking into. Also, identifying the research gap, identifying the future scope, right? Integrating the extant literature, synthesizing with the prior studies that are happening, developing the new theoretical frameworks that are there in the previous literatures or the scholars have introduced. So this whole process uh, is talking about how what kind of output we are addressing here. So when you are looking into the papers review, there are three different classification on the basis of which the review happens that need to be understand. So the first one is that we are looking into the domain based. Now, when we are talking about domain based, as the name says, when we look into the domain perspective, in domain we have the first and foremost is the kind of a structured review. Now when we are talking about structured review, it is very scientifically and specifically based on like methods, theories, constructs, which we can portray it in the form of tables and figures, where the reader, the scholar, is trying to get insightful information about the content that we are exploring, right? So normally, in case of a structured review, we are looking into what kind of methods that have already been used, the theories and constructs which have already been applied, right? And we look into in a perspective of what has already been done and what new can happen. So that is what basically a structured review talks about. Second one is a framework based. Now, framework based is very interesting, and nowadays it's becoming very popular as well, because in case of framework, here we are looking into developing certain frameworks. So I'll introduce with couple of frameworks here that are like very helpful for you to draw your literature review, because generally what happens, the young scholars who have just into the this review part, they don't know how to read the paper, they don't know what are the key components that need to be identified. So in that case there are different frameworks that I want to highlight, with the help of which they can present their literature in a very better and refined way, organized way. So let me instead of, I'll just showcase here. Mm, Actually, I have not mentioned here. So the first one, is my screen visible to all,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
Yes,
first
madam.
one is,
Yes, madam. It is visible. It is
yeah,
visible.
the first framework which I want to talk about is TCCM. Now, what basically TCCM is when you read a paper, you are dividing into four components. Now, four components are what? The first is what is the theory, right? T stands for the theory, right? Then comes with your C. C stands for construct. What are the constructs in that particular paper? Another C talks about the characteristics. Characteristics in the sense of maybe what kind of region, what kind of sample. So, what is the characteristics that they have identified in the paper? And M is what kind of methodology they have applied. So, whenever we are going for a review, so the first framework that we are talking about is a TCCM framework, which can be used to define your literature review. And it is very good. The storyline becomes very clear because at the end, as a scholar, I'm looking into what are the theories based on which that particular concept has been developed, what constructs, because then you can look into, okay, there is a new construct that can be added, or is there any other construct that can be mold here and there, twist and turn can happen. The characteristics, maybe a particular industry they have done, or maybe a particular region they have done, then you can explore other regions as well. And the methodology, definitely what are the major methodologies that have been used, and then you can come ahead with a different kind of methodology. So that is the first framework, that is TCEM. Second framework is again very interesting. From our childhood we people are doing it. I guess you all would be uh, agreeing with me. 6W, we all know what is 6W. So 6W is what? Who, when, where, how, what, and why. So what you are doing, you are trying to make your paper, because generally what I do, this is 6W. I don't only apply in my literature review, even I ask my scholars to put it in their article also. Whenever you are writing a paper, you need to address the 6Ws, and it becomes very easy for you to make a paper. So same way in your literature review also, when you are reviewing a paper, if you take this particular concept of 6W, it will really help you to understand the paper in a much better way, right? So that is 6W. The second method, which is a very different method that people, one of the scholar who has really worked well in review and is very known in literature review section is Justin Paul. So Justin Paul has come up with a very different kind of model, which is basically known as ADO. This is the third framework, a very renowned framework that has come up, which is talking about A stand for antecedents, D stands for decisions. What were the decisions that we are looking forward? And O stands for outcome. What was the outcome of the paper? So ADO is also one of the way that can be used to review a paper. After ADO, there is another very good one. Just like we have 7 Ps in marketing, same we have 7 Ps in our literature review as well. So what are those 7 Ps? So I'll just write those 7 Ps for you. The first one is potential. The second one is path. Third is process. Then comes the pace. Then comes the pattern. Then you talk about problems. And the last is performance. So that is what 7 Ps is. It is potential, path, process, pace, pattern, problems, and performance. Now this 7 Ps, again, it was introduced by Justin Paul, and one of his papers, it is on review on international marketing. So if you want to, you can go through with this framework 7P. It was written in the year 2019. It's an international marketing review paper where he has used this 7P to review the domain international marketing and identified this a wonderful framework that you can do for your SLR. So that is what basically different frameworks that you can use for coming up with your literature review. So with this same work, you can prepare. I'll just show you one of the framework, TCCM framework. I'll wait a second. I have the TCCM framework. So this is somewhat you can prepare. This is basically done on the basis of, if you look into, it is on the basis of theory. So we have identified different theories and distinct the papers accordingly, right? Then on the basis of context, we have made the clusters on what context these papers have been. Context scale, even you can talk about constructs, whatever the name you want to give. The characteristics, right? On basis of what characteristics they have done. Then made the clusters on the basis of methodology. We have distinct the papers. So it helps us to make the paper the pattern, because sometimes what happens, you don't know how to write a review. So you can make it that out of the theories, majority theories are used. So if you look into this particular frame, so majority of papers have used the stakeholder theory. Then second comes the normative legitimacy theory, and then the institutional and so. I get to know which are the theories which are more prominent in a particular domain that we want to talk about. So it gives a very good framework to introduce a particular topic and do the review of it. Right? So in this way, you can make your paper, that is theory, context, or constructs, characteristic, and the methodology, and then prepare the clusters accordingly. You will get your tables also, and you will get your the paper format, the way you want to start your story. Okay, I got yeah. I'm sorry, I missed because I was not having the chat. Okay, okay. 6W. Uh, Ma'am, 6W is basically we are talking about. Uh, we are saying what, where, when, how, who, and why. एक minute. And what is who, when, what, where, how, why, right? So this is basically the 6W that we are talking about. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, I'll just write it on the chat box so that it helps you to understand. 6W is what, I'm just typing on the chat what, where, how, why, when, who. I guess it is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, right. ADO is basically we are talking about antecedents. D for decisions, and ADO is antecedents, decision, and outcome, right? And TCCM is theory, construct or context, characteristics, and methodology. Yeah, just a second. What if the paper or the topic has no theory used? Yeah, you can use any other method. So that doesn't mean, when you are looking into the review of the papers, right? There would be papers, like say, suppose I got 50 papers, right? So it doesn't mean all the 50 papers will fit into it. There would be papers who are, I can take it those which are highly cited or the theories are given, and then I can show that this is a theory where majority of the papers come into. Like right now, the table that which I showed you, you guys, the paper was approximately 80 papers, right? So out of that 80 papers, only this much have come into, right? So that's what we are looking into. Okay, a very good one. Now, ADO is basically to review the paper, and PICO, that is PICO, that I was about to start. That PICO is not for the paper. It is basically to frame your question, research question. PICO is generally is this framework is used to develop a research question. ADO is used to do the review. It's a framework to use for the literature review. Okay, if topic is HR analytic adoption by multinational corporation companies, then what framework to use? What right approach? Okay, that's what where you come, sir. There is no right approach because what is the outcome that you want? That you need to understand. Because this is not the only. Do you want to write a very domain specific paper, or you want a theory based paper, or nowadays hybrid papers are coming into, right, where you are doing the quality and quantity both. So that need to understand. So it all depends upon your outcome that you are looking into, and then you can use your framework accordingly. Anyone else? Any other question? Do we have to all these manually in Excel, or there is any technique to for doing SLR? Manually in Excel, ma'am, आपको you have to definitely read the papers, and then you have to put it into the Excel. That to need to be done. Yeah, if you're talking about is there any AI tool which will help me to go ahead with it? Uh, yes, there are few AI tools, but again, those AI tool will not do your work. They can assist your work. They can be your assistant, but they cannot be a substitute of you. So that's what I always, whenever I start with my AI workshop, I always say all the AI tools that we mentioned is just to support, to assist you. No AI tool can substitute a research scholar or a faculty. So please don't feel like AI tool will substitute me. No, nowhere down the line. Because at the end, it is an AI tool. At the end, it's a technology. And you have to go back and recheck, cross verify whatever it is saying. So yes, there are tools that are available that you can do it, that can help you to go ahead with it to do the. Can you please share the Excel once again? Yeah, sure. I can share the Excel once again. This particular Excel file is basically the TCCM framework that I have was talking about, where we have put our papers into clusters on the basis of theory. So we have made the clusters on the basis of theory, on the basis of context, on the basis of characteristics, and on the basis of methodology. So this is basically we have done. So it is not all the papers will give you all, and because every table would be different, right? So this will give you a good way to write the paper and to understand how to go about with it. So anyone has any query with regard to this, please you are free to ask me. And it's really good you people have the queries. It means what I want try to say to you all, it is going to you all. So
hello ma'am, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am, please.
Ma'am, I am trying to do a paper on bibliometric, but I don't have access to Scopus. I tried with the Dimension database and PubMed database, but the diagrams or the graphs which we get from R programming by using the Scopus is not, I am not getting that graphs, the outputs from other PubMed and Dimension. Is there any
Need to
problem how
get
to
it
solve this
from
problem?
this. Yeah, there is. You have to get. If you're not, maybe your what we say, the query is not good enough. So you have to rephrase your query. Just check your query. Maybe there is some twist and turns that you can do it in your query. That's why you are not able to get what you are looking forward. As such, your query is not giving you the objective that you have thought of. So you have to rephrase your query.
Do you mean to say that we can use the other database as same as Scopus database?
That you have to mention in your paper when you're writing a bibliometric. Definitely, you have to write it on the paper that yes, I'm using this database and why you are using that database. That is very important to mention, because in the review papers, specifically when you are writing a review paper, not your thesis. In the thesis literature review, that doesn't matter. But when you are writing a review paper, you have to tell them what is your basically what we call that prisma. Prisma is basically we are talking about how the process, what the process you have taken, how you have done the review, which particular time period you have taken, and how many papers you have taken. What was the criteria of taking that papers? So that need to be done. Uh, Rajendra ji, yes, voice viewer आप use कर सकते हो, but her database is not correct. That's why she is not getting that kind of outcome. So she need to work on the query part.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, ma'am. I recently joined the PhD program. So my question
Yeah.
is that I am looking for some HR analytics, how the companies are using Indian company or the multinational foreign companies. So the chart you prepare in Excel sheet. So I am doing literature review. I am reading the paper. So I also made this type of chart in Excel. So I use four column: one introduction, one methodology, then we have conclusion and finding. So I am making a reading paper one by
I'm
one.
sorry to interrupt. Not only the conclusion, because you are starting into and you don't understand where you want to go.
Yes,
Very
yes.
important. Whenever you are reading a paper, please make sure you go through with the future research, that is
Okay,
future scope and the limitation. Right
okay.
now, for you, these two contexts are very important. The reason being, from these two contexts, you will get to know what would is your research gap.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, okay, okay.
So apart from what you have mentioned, please add on in your Excel, number
Okay.
one, with regard to the future scope, and
Yes.
number two, limitation.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, okay, okay. Understand.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah. Just a second. Yeah, please, ma'am.
Ma'am, this is research scholar from Banaras Hindu University. I'm Shorat Fatima. And my question is to you that please explain in nutshell what is the here it means the characteristics. How can I identify the characteristics feature from my research paper? Just like I am doing PhD in my green human resource management. My topic is green human resource management. Theory is available there. Context also I can identify. Methodology also, and what things to be considered before putting the characteristics part, that what are things to be added in characteristics this
See, when
column.
you're talking, when I said about the characteristics you are talking about, either you can look into the sample, you can look into the industry, you can look into the region. Like maybe some papers have been done for retired people. Maybe some people, some scholars have done for the female woman part, right? So such kind of characteristics you can identify and make the cluster. Now, again, I'm repeating that doesn't mean all the papers will fit into it,
Okay, okay.
right? You can mold the framework according to you, right? Instead of using TCCM, you can use TCM. That is theory, context, and methodology. Ignore the characteristic part, because there are papers you will find for the TCM also. Or else you can do the integration of the frameworks. You can
Yes,
use
ma'am. Yes,
TCM
ma'am.
in 6W,
Yes,
or
ma'am,
you can
exactly. I
use,
have one paper, ma'am, in International Journal of Consumer Studies, which is of Justin Paul. So right
yeah,
now,
he has used the integration of TCM and ADO, where he has come up with the ADO framework.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I already mentioned. Justin Paul has come up all these frameworks. He is the one who has introduced all these frameworks. So
Yes,
these
ma'am. This
frameworks,
all the research. Yes, ma'am.
ha. So these frameworks are not it has done from ages. It has recently they have come up, because literature
Yes, ma'am.
review is the one thing that need to be understood. It is very important also, and how to
Mm-hmm.
organize your review, how to organize it, and how to present it. So these are the basically way to present your data, right? So this
True,
is what,
true. Yes, ma'am.
different ways, the framework based that you can do your literature review. The next one is just a second. Yeah. The next one is basically bibliometric, what we generally look into. See, the review papers, whatever we have talked about, it is basically you have to read the papers and come up with your own, like the frameworks or the theories or the constructs that you are talking about. Bibliometric is quite different. Here you are talking about the quantitative part of it. Quantitative part of it, like you can talk about in bibliometric, in graphical presentation, the citation analysis, or maybe author analysis, or basically you can talk about the keyword analysis. So there are different ways that you can do the bibliometric. That is also I would be including in the this workshop, but that I will do it tomorrow. My main focus for tomorrow is bibliometric, where I will introduce few of the parameters that can be add on into the bibliometric, which I will be sharing with the couple of papers that they have used, how they have used, and how they have presented it. So bibliometric is a very different kind of review that is used in case of reviewing a paper. Then comes the hybrid. Now hybrid is basically is done is
Madam, excuse me. We are not able to see the PowerPoint presentation. I think classification of SRL article is there only. It's
acha,
not changed.
okay.
And if you
Now
could
is
start.
it visible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now is it visible? Great. Yes. Yeah, Shivani, you have some query? Okay. So, bibliometric would be at the topic that we would be taking up tomorrow. So, I would be explaining and exploring this particular topic more in depth tomorrow with regard to it. Now, coming with the hybrid, as I said, hybrid says is about the integration of couple of uh, review process, right? Now, what you can do, you can integrate a framework, right? Maybe like, as I said, you can integrate TCM with ADO that already I have discussed with you. So it will provide basically looking into the future research in a more narrative way, right? That's why it is called a hybrid, right? Second way of hybriding the review is basically where you are using bibliometric with the review. That is basically bibliometric with the structured review, or bibliometric with the framework based. Because nowadays, lot of editors are not only concentrating on the bibliometric. Either you are more focusing on bibliometric, or you are more focusing on literature review. So if you combine qualitative and quantitative review in one paper, there are more chances to get an acceptance. So that's why hybrid has come up um, in a very fast pace. It is coming up into the this review papers. And the last one is review aiming for theory development. Now here what basically we are looking into, we are trying to develop the theoretical models or testing the hypothesis or propositions in such a theory building process, that how the hypothesis has been done. So that is basically we are looking into the reviewing, aiming, focusing only with the focus on the theory development papers. So that is the all the different types of the process that comes under the domain framework. The next one is basically theory based review. Now, under this theory based review is typically what you are doing, you are trying to help advancing a body of literature that uses the empirical applies, right, with an underlying theory. Like if I talk about in the current situation, the framework that we have talked about, I'm looking at the application of X theory in in a concept or in a domain, right, or in a particular area, right. So that is basically a theory based, where you are trying to focus on how this theory is applicable in a particular genre, right, in a particular area or a field that you need to talk about. So there are a lot of papers in that format also, where you can identify the papers have been constructed on the basis of the theory. The next one is the method based. Same as a theory based, where you are specifically focusing on the theory. In method based, what you are focusing on, you are focusing on the method. What kind of methodology? Like maybe how many papers have used regression, like how regression has changed. Nowadays, people are talking about fuzzy regression, fuzzy logic. People are talking about ML techniques, machine learning techniques, and how it has um, impacted or disrupted the research area. So that is basically you are taking a method and then exploring that area. So that is basically a method based. Please, this theory based and method based is not as your domain based that I have talked about. It is very different, because in domain based, you are starting with the domain and then you are coming up. But in theory and method, as the name says, you are starting with the theory, right? And in method, you are starting with method. So that is what the difference between all the three sections, classifications that we have discussed right now. That is domain, theory, and method. Now, please tell me, anyone has any query, anything they want to ask me, then I'll move ahead. Is there any question with regard to the classification? No one? So moving ahead. Now, what is the process? How this process flows? Let's take it into the first and foremost step is you have to design, you have to plan, you have to look into the first and foremost is what basically the input you are looking into. And for that, what are your research questions? What is the purpose of doing it? What do you want to address? What you are looking forward? What kind of outcome you are looking? Right, then accordingly you will be able to identify the method, you will able to strategize your whole review process. So design is very important, because that is the planning phase you are looking into. Right, now when I talk about research question, I'll start with the research question. It because this particular section is very important, because generally we fail to develop the research question. And it is very important to have a protocol which, to have objective and outline that beyond this I will not go, right? Because it gives you a clear understanding what you are looking forward. So how we formulate the research question? The first and foremost method of formulating the research question is PICO framework. PICO, where P stands for population, problem, or the patient, whatever. Please remember, as I already mentioned, literature review was very started with medical and all the science areas. So that's why all these frameworks will include the science terminologies, clinical psychology, all these comes under, they started all this. So PICO framework includes your P is your population, problem, or patient, right? Where you are talking about a particular section. I is basically intervention, where you are talking about the action, where you're talking about what kind of problem you are trying to address. C stands for comparison. Is there any comparison that you are looking forward, maybe from the past to current, or between the two system or the process that you are looking into? And O stands for the outcome. So outcome is basically what kind of desired result you are looking into. So it's a very good framework that you can use to frame your research question. Like I have given an example. So I have taken it for basically, I'm looking into the application of artificial intelligence in the research. So I have said, how does intentional integration and utilization of artificial intelligence technology, that is basically the intervention. The problem is how this particular concept will be integrating within the research methodology compared to conventional approach. Here what I'm doing, see, I'm trying to compare it, right? And what is my outcome? Which will affect the efficiency, accuracy, and innovation. That is basically my output of research outcomes across various disciplines. So various disciplines is basically I'm looking into the population, right? So that is P. So that this is the way you can frame your particular research question. Nowadays, it is PICOT. T is also included into this, where T stands for time period. You can put your like pre and post COVID or financial crisis, right? A particular situation. So when you are talking about a time period into it, a time frame, when you put a time frame into it, that is basically you are using a framework called PICOT. So that is basically a very wonderful framework to design your research question. So let's take an example, because majority is more on marketing. If I look into the marketing perspective, right? And I want to draw a research question, taking an example of application of AI, in marketing. So let's see how you people can frame. It's a very small 5 minutes task for you all. Application of AI in marketing. Let's see how you frame the question. Let's take this particular framework, PICO framework, and you can come up a research question. I'm giving you 5 minutes time. So let's see how you draft. Let's see in 5 minutes how you can draft a research question where a theme I have taken, application of AI in marketing. And I'll tell you, I am not a marketing person. To what extent AI is applied in marketing? Ma'am, does it fit in your PICO framework? Is this the right, to what extent do we talk about extent in a research question? You have to frame a research question. Anyone? You have another 4 minutes with you. Oh, 3 minutes. See, I'm asking you to write a research question where my theme is application of AI in marketing based on this framework called PICO, where P stands for population problem, I stands for intervention, C stands for comparison, and O stands for outcome. So how I can frame a research question based on this framework? You have 3 minutes. Which are the application of AI which is applied in marketing? Intervention is basically when you are looking into the intervention, how it is um, basically, if I talk about in this example, we are looking here intervention, we are talking about the affecting the population. How my integration of AI will impact the research methodology. How the integration. Okay, how is AI impacting the value delivery process in marketing? Okay, how AI is applied in marketing of green product which helps in sustainability. Uh, Fatima ma'am, the questions that you are framing, these are not questions. These are basically a simple question and answer. I'm looking forward for a research question. Uh, Magnesh ji, आप भी how AI impact on marketing? No. Yes, Archana, to a certain extent, yes, it is correct. How do companies use AI to integrate customer feedback into marketing planning process to make a more focused delivery of products? Very good. How does integration of impact consumer behavior across various industries? Rajendra ji, instead of looking at various industries, be specific because it is very difficult to cover the whole population. So it is better to stick to a one area or a particular sample. That's superb. It's really nice. Okay, Jagriti ji has written most effective AI-driven strategies for personal and how do. Jagriti ji, now the question that you have framed right now, it's not a research question, it's a question and answer. Right? Uh, okay, let me take you to one of that I was looking into um, that I wanted to introduce to you all. Give me a second, let me. Uh, Now you asked me, as I already mentioned, in between I will portray the basic AI tools into the system. Now how you can use. See, I have given you 5 minutes and I asked you to write a question, research question. The first thing is you need to understand the research theme. Now you don't have someone to do the brainstorming because I have just put down there and you are not able to. So my best friend, Chat GPT, will help me to come up with a research question based on PICO framework. So let's see how it works and how it goes around. So whenever, as I mentioned, see, as in literature review, even when you are using a tool, any AI tool, you need to understand what is the input and what is the output. So what basically I will ask, I'll ask my AI tool to first give him a particular role. I am asking him act as a researcher, act as a researcher, identify research themes on AI and marketing. Now, the first thing is because I said AI and marketing, how it can be collaborated. So I got a different kind of themes that I can explore and I can look forward that, okay, what kind of research I can go about and look into. So I have 10 themes in front of me. Either I can look into investigate how AI powered recommendation systems can enhance personalized marketing efforts. Then I have predictive analysis and forecasting. Then I have NLP for customer insights. Then I have chatbots and virtual assistants, content creation and generation, customer segmentation, ethical considerations, consumer privacy, very important nowadays, market attribution and ROI measurement, AR and VR in marketing, cross-channel integration and omni-channel marketing. So I have 10 themes in front of me and I can explore any one. So let me take any one of the theme to move ahead. So I'll take uh, based on PICO framework, design, research, question, focusing, point 10. So using my PICO framework, I'm looking into what kind of research question. So population is what? Marketers or the marketing team working in various industries. Intervention is integration of AI technologies across multiple marketing channels. Because here we are talking about what? Here I am talking about cross-channel integration and omni-channel. People who are from the marketing background, here we are talking about the multi-level marketing. So they would be easily correlating with that. Comparison we are trying to do with the traditional marketing strategies without AI integration. And outcome is what? The effectiveness of those strategies which enhance the customer engagement and driving scales. So here is my research question. In marketing professionals across diverse industries, now I can mold accordingly instead of, because it has given me various industries. So I can't cater to the various industries. So I can take any one industry and mold my research question accordingly. Does the integration of AI technology across multiple marketing channels compared to traditional marketing strategies without AI integration result in improved effectiveness of omni-channel marketing strategies in enhancing customer engagement and driving sales? So see, this is the you have brainstorm, or you want to mold, or you want to change, you want to add or minus, or something you want to do, that you can do accordingly, and you can do your discussion with chat gpt, one of the most commonly used AI tool which we generally use into our day-to-day life. And you can come up with a research question like this. So this is the way that you can use it. Okay, show me the prompt. Okay, this is the prompt that I have used. The first prompt is, I have to first identify the tool to what kind of role they want to play, and then write what they want to, I want him to do it. And then on the basis of research things, I asked him to frame the designer research question. So anyone has any question, anything they want to ask me? Is it clear to everyone?
Ma'am, in the PICO framework, last line, design research question focusing point 10. It means
Basically, I have taken, first I have made them to identify the themes. So out of those 10 themes, I asked them to design the research question based on point 10.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question? After getting the result, should we reframe it as it can cause plagiarism? No, it will not cause your plagiarism, because definitely you have to mold in terms of you don't want to do for the various industries or something. It will not come into the plagiarism, ma'am. As I already mentioned, it will support your research. It will not substitute your research. So you have to do. It is just a demonstration for 5 minutes I have shown. Definitely nobody will use as it is. You have to look into the feasibility also, whether you can go ahead or not. Or is there any plus and minus that you want to do it? So definitely, it is just a starting phase that it gives you an outline. Yeah, you can put it post 2000 or something like that. What basically this time, you can do it. Yes, that's what I said. Now you can mold pre and post COVID kind of stuff, or anything you want to for a particular time period. Yeah, shall I move ahead with the next framework?
Yes, ma'am, continue.
Okay, let me. Yeah, definitely. That also can be. I told you there are a lot of frameworks. This is not the only framework. And I will
one question for my.
Yeah, please.
Hello. Ma'am, my domain is finance. My topic is working capital management, but no theory introduced properly related with the working capital. तो मैम उस केस में
पूजा
क्या करूँ मैम?
मैम पूजा मैम आपकी ना वॉइस ना वो बेस बहुत ज्यादा है. So can you please type it because I'm not able to understand what you are saying. I'm so sorry. Can you please type it on the chat box? Your voice is cracking.
Okay.
Thank you. Vikramji, can you please explain to the participants what S stands for? It will be really grateful. It would be good understanding for everyone. What S stands for? Yeah. Yes. Steady constraints. Yeah. This include time period, language, database. Yeah. The constraints is basically what are the you are looking forward with what are the different characteristics or you want to look into. That's what I said. It is basically you can take the time period, right? Now, when you are writing a research question, when you talk about language, database, it is for basically you are looking from the research perspective. When you are writing a review paper and you are framing a research question for that, right? So this is basically for general. I have taken for everyone any type of research question, so you can use this particular framework. Great. So the next framework. Thank you. Thanks, Vikramji, for sharing. So the next is spider framework. Again, a very different kind of framework to used for designing a research question, where S stands for sample, P stands for phenomena of interest, I stands for design, D stands for evaluation, E stands for research type, and R is your research question. Now, basically under this spider framework, you are looking forward what kind of sample you are talking about, the phenomena that you are looking into, the methodology that you are applying, how you will be assessing the variables.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
screen
please.
show रही है ma'am?
I guess just my screen is visible.
नहीं मैम मेरी साइड शो नहीं हो रही है.
Yes, it is visible for me. It is visible for me at least.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. अंजू मैम आपको फिर से प्लीज दोबारा से वो होना पड़ेगा, रीज्वाइन करिए आप प्लीज.
जी मैम.
हाँ प्लीज रीज्वाइन. Okay, then what kind of research type, basically what kind of research do you want to go for, descriptive, exploratory, right? And the guiding question that you are framing out of it. So that is basically the spider framework that we talk about. The third one is SPICE framework. Now under SPICE framework, it is basically what? S is setting, P stands for perspective, I stands for intervention or the interest, right? C stands for comparison, and E stands for evaluation. So that is basically again that is setting, perspective, intervention, comparison, and evaluation. That is basically SPICE. Majority people use PICO apart from Spider and SPICE. I have seen a lot of papers who have used the framework, PICO framework, to frame their research question as compared to these other frameworks. Because these frameworks are generally used in scientific papers more rather than using in the social science. In social science, I have seen a lot of papers who have used PICO to go ahead with it. Now, if you look into all, these are the research questions that we have framed. I'll just go back. Yes, then you need to conduct. Now, then you have to select the papers. Now, how you will select the papers? Which are the papers which are more precise to your outcome, right? That need to be identified, and then analysis part comes into it. How to read the paper, how to analyze those papers. For that, I'll show you a few of the AI tools that you can use to do the analysis of the same. And first and foremost, I would be taking up the first AI tool that I would be talking about is Lit Maps. It's a wonderful tool that you can use. Basically, Lit Maps provide you a map of from one paper. It will showcase you where the references and how all the papers are correlated to each other. Like right now, what we have talked about. Um If you look into this lit map, it is talking about either you can put the keywords, you can give a particular paper also, right? But right now, I'll give the keyword AI marketing. So I'm asking them to AI marketing, and these are the paper they have identified, like how to use artificial intelligence for cause related marketing, application of AI marketing in enterprise analysis management, then AI marketing science and sustainable profit. So I can take any one paper. Okay. Just a second. I have to share the screen. Yeah. So once I select the paper, this is the seed paper that I am looking into. Just give a couple of minutes. It will give me the whole map. It's taking time. Let me take another paper. See, it is taking time. Please, you can use these apps along with me, so it will be easy for you to go forward. I guess my network is little weak, so it's taking time. Meanwhile, if you have any question you want to ask me, you can.
मैम, ये
Yeah, please.
लिट मैप्स का टूल का यूज हम किस पर्पस के लिए कर रहे हैं?
For organizing your papers, to see the links between the papers, how papers are linked with each other. So I'll just show you. It is taking time. Just give me a second. I will show you how it will be demonstrated. Yes, sir, please. I guess somebody has raised the hand.
Ma'am, is my voice visible?
Yeah, please, please.
Ma'am, actually, I'm conducting a systematic literature review on film-induced tourism. Ma'am, actually, and I'm using PCOS framework, as I have already mentioned in the chat. Ma'am,
Yeah.
using this framework, ma'am, I have prepared a Excel table. Ma'am, please kindly inform what are the essential components should I include in my Excel sheet so that it can look complete. And ma'am, second thing, for example, ma'am, when I was searching for theory, actually, after applying the framework, I extracted around 104 papers. In that 104 papers, ma'am, there were around 54 papers that were not that had not included the theory. So, ma'am, what to write in that case?
It doesn't matter if then you can go ahead with the ADO model, or you can take 7Ps and 7S model. So you can take any other framework. If you're because actually what you are doing, you're talking about SLR papers. You are specifically looking into
Yes, ma'am.
SLR papers. So SLR papers will not give you any theory, because what you are basically looking into, what is basically your research objective, that you have to identify.
Ma'am, actually, I have used the PCOS paper, and ma'am, I have like collected all the papers that were related to film-induced tourism. Ma'am, I have screened out those papers, ma'am. And after,
Nee, nee, Vikram, you are not able to understand my question. What I'm basically
yes, ma'am.
asking you, when you are talking about a research objective, are you looking into in your query? Your database was talking about SLR and tourism, or it was like what?
Ma'am, actually, in the query, I had inserted 4 keywords that were related to film-induced tourism only, like film-induced tourism, film tourism, and movie-induced tourism. These were the 4 keywords that I had inserted, and I have got results. After screening out all the studies, I have got around 104 studies, ma'am. In that 1 day 4 studies, ma'am, there were 54 papers that doesn't include theory. So, ma'am, is it always we have to search for the theories, or we can skip
Uh,
the theory part and can add some other variables?
yeah, you can add other variables into that. See, generally what happened, why? Because every paper, every question need to be construct, or there should be some theoretical background. Then only there would be a supporting. I believe you are a research scholar,
Yes, ma'am.
right? You are doing your PhD. So when there would be a viva, how you will support your outcome? How you will support your constructs? You need some theoretical background behind it, that okay, because of these theories I'm trying to identify. That's why it is a research. Academic research का मतलब क्या होता है? Academic research is where you are trying to include theory. What is the implication? So that's why theoretical part becomes very important, unless and until you will not able to identify. Because what basically you are looking into this tourism industry. If I'm talking about, are you looking into the awareness of it, or you are looking into the motivational factor of it? That also need to be identified. Na? So you have to be clear. It is not, you cannot do a literature review on a broader context. What I believe right now, what you are doing, you're doing your research on a broader context. So that you have to narrow down before moving ahead with the SLR paper. So
So,
that,
ma'am,
yeah, ma'am.
basically, if we talk about the research based on the two terms, that is dependent variable and independent variable, then I think it will be more clear. Key dependent variable, I want to concentrate on these two variables, and these two variables are depending on these variables. So literature review can be based on that, because this literature review says that this dependent variable is depending on this independent variable. For example, as I have said, green product marketing. So the
Yes.
how AI is used in green products, this is my dependent variable. I want to search that. And my literature may be saying some other variables. It is depending on the policy of the company. So this will be my independent variable. So I think for each and every research, whatever you are telling, that theoretical framework will should say that what is the dependent variable and what is the independent variable, and your literature review will support it. That is why what my this
Yes, Archana ma'am, you are right. It is basically that's what constructs. For framing your constructs, which you call it as dependent and independent variables, for framing your constructs, you need some theory. You need some background to support it,
yeah.
right? So that's what we try to look into that front, that theories need to be there to support your outcome.
Yes.
So that need to be done. So thanks
So
on that. Yeah,
yeah. No, that's okay.
yeah.
One book is there, that is you may also be knowing that book, that is the Uma Shekharan, written by Uma Shekharan. She gives very in very good way whatever you are telling regarding the framework. as such, how to build up that.
Yeah, you can go ahead with that. That is, it's a good start to read.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a research scholar, you should go ahead with those readings. Great. There is one, any AI tool for doing analysis which you have already downloaded. Uh, uh, can you please let me know what basically you are looking forward? Any AI tool for doing analysis which you have? Yeah, the papers which I have already downloaded that
Yes.
you can use. Yeah, that you can use not only with the Litmap. There are other tools also. I'll just let you know. Yes, Rajendra ji, Litmap is similar to Research Rabbit, but their presentation is different. Litmap starts with one seed and it creates a map. Research Rabbit also, you have multiple papers and then it goes. I'll just show you the difference between both. It is just the presentation that is different. Please, with the help of paper, kindly explain how to check theory and variable. Okay. Same loading problem on my laptop in Litmaps. Yeah, I'm also
मेरे भी है इशू ये, मेरे लैपटॉप पे भी मैम डाउनलोडिंग में प्रॉब्लम हो रही है इसमें.
I guess it has gone to a maintenance or what it has been. Okay, meanwhile, I'll show you what Sir has specified, Research Rabbit. Again, one of the wonderful tool. I'll just like Litmap, I have this Research Rabbit also. I don't know why it is maybe. I'll take. I guess my net is running slow. So let me. I need to log into Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit is also free. You can use it. Again, you can create any kind of collection. Like I have already a collection where I added up one paper by add paper. Sorry, you can add your keywords on titles. Like if I talk about Fintech, Industry 4.0. Now, if I'll search, I'll get multiple papers from the database, right? So I have one paper that have already been downloaded in this particular app. So if I look into this paper, this is the abstract of the paper, right? Now from this paper, I can look into the similar paper, the references of this paper and where these paper have been cited. In fact, apart from this, I can also look how this author has done, right? If I look into the author, so these are the authors in this paper, right? So I can then look into the author. This particular author, Professor Raj, he has published 65 papers. He has 926 citations. I can then go to his published papers and see his published papers, what kind of papers. And this is the quite a graphical presentation of his papers and how it is related to. Now, this particular graph is prepared by Litmap. Let me see if it is prepared. No, it is still running. I guess. Litmap and Research Rabbit is in the same. Research Rabbit gives you much more clarity with regard to the similar work. So you can look into the similar works from the paper and then create it and how they are related to each other. So right now it is this is the paper and how these paper are correlated. The web, how these are like this paper. Not only it is cited and how it is referred and how is linked with other papers. So this is the way you can get a map and you can understand how your papers, you can make the connection, connect the dot to write your paper. So this is the one of the way that you can use it. Okay, wait a second. I have lot of queries. Okay, we can use connected papers also for this. Yes, ma'am, you can use connected papers also, but connected papers to a certain extent you can. I guess it is again comes for paid. Litmap and Research Rabbit are more convenient to use. I have generally felt with participants also. But yeah, connected papers is also similar to Litmap and Research Rabbit. Search for the papers in Scopus or Bisco or for Google Scholar, then copy DOI and paste in Search Rabbit it out, read the abstract and the name. Yes, you can do that. That also, unless and until that is not available or to that particular website, that particular app, how to extract data from Litmap and Rabbit. Okay. So, if you go through, you can zoom and here it is download. You can download it, this particular section, right? You can export the papers in CSV. So everything is given. You can export the papers and you can go ahead with it. Yeah. Voice viewer is basically for Bibliometric. Here we are doing a mapping of the paper where we are not talking about the citation analysis or the keyword analysis. Here we are trying to connect the dots to write my literature review. How that paper is presented.
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, we have used the PICO method just for formulating the research questions, right?
Yeah.
Ma'am, but what is the use of TCCM or 6W, ADO, these type of frameworks?
That is for review framework. How to review a paper.
Okay. So, no, like when we are writing a paper, then when can we use such frameworks while writing? Like process
So you
is
can
the
talk
same.
about na. Yeah, you can write first. You can write about the theory. Then you can talk about the constructs. This is the way you can review and then you can identify. So the majority of the papers have used this theory. See what is basically literature review is. There you are looking into in the past what has happened, and then you are trying to predict the future. So these are the areas that you can explore. Right?
Right.
So that can be helped with those frameworks.
Like there are 4 steps in process. One is first step, we can use the PICO method. Then while conducting wala jo step hai, that second step, that we can identify the such papers. Like for identifying such papers, we can use that framework.
For reviewing those papers, you can use that framework.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not
for
getting.
For review, when you're reading, what you want to, what kind of outcome you're looking ahead. From the paper, I want to see what is the theory. I want to see what kind of methodology they have used. Because in SLR paper, what kind of outcome you want? Literature review का outcome क्या चाहिए आपको? That you need to understand. Whether because if you're writing a literature review paper, it is very important to understand the editor's focus is not on what has already been done. It is based on what has already been done, what can be done now, the future. So that
can you share such paper which have used TCCM and SLR? मतलब basically मुझे ये जानना है that अगर हम जैसे एक पेपर लिख रहे हैं तो लिखने से पहले का जो काम है वो हमारा TCCM हेल्प कर रहा है और लिखने के बाद का जो प्रोसेस है वो जो 4 स्टेप्स है, राइट?
नहीं, आपको ये जो फ्रेमवर्क है ये आपको हेल्प कर रहा है कि टू रिव्यू द पेपर एंड देन यू विल कम अप विद योर ओन रिकमेंडेशन.
Okay.
Right? Acha, Kanika, you tell me how you read a paper. What basically you extract from a paper? So that is what extraction is.
Got it. Got it.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Anju ma'am, you have a query?
नो मैम.
Okay,
हम तो
you just
बेसिकली हमें TCCM वाला जो चीज है वो हमें पेपर में शो नहीं करना है, वो दैट इज जस्ट फॉर आर.
Then you can show. It is the way you can write your paper as well. A review paper based on there are lots of papers which have used TCM model. Even the hybrid model as well, they have used it. So you can find the papers on that.
Okay.
Ha. Sandeep ji, when you are talking about that, do we have to give the names? Just my simple answer नहीं होगा, इसी पे question होगा. Do you write that you have used Google Scholar to extract the database? Do you write that you have used Excel? No, you don't write it. So they are all to assist you, just like Google Scholar and all those apps.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, you don't need to. It is just assisting you to how to frame it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a research rabbit that you can use it, right? Now, this way you can identify, you can map it around, right? Now, apart from this, the next challenge comes how to. अभी भी lit map नहीं चल रहा. I guess आज lit map का है ही नहीं time. So not an issue. Tomorrow maybe.
Ma'am, maybe it is asking for the newer version. That is why it is not working. Maybe.
No, in the morning it was working. It's nothing.
Okay.
Let me see if they are asking for a new version, but I don't think so. In the morning, I use it. As I already mentioned, I was using it in my morning session. Let me see. I really don't know. So I'll take a first paper and create a lit map. It is taking time. Maybe because my previous paper is there. Let me see. नहीं अभी it is not running. I don't know why it is not running. Maybe tomorrow I'll show you how lit map look like. It is just same similar like this, but it shows top papers. Here it is showing all the papers, but in lit map it shows just top papers. So that is the beauty of it, right? So this is the way you can go ahead to make a map to connect the dots. Now for the analysis part, like to read the paper, to understand the particular paper, you have couple of again apps, AI apps. One is elicit.com. This is Elicit AI again to read your paper, right? Now you can upload a paper into it, right? You can upload a PDF or you can put the research question into it. So I'll take a research question which we have created in the chat GPT. This is my research question that I have created. And I'll put it here and search the paper. Now, based on this, it will identify the papers and try to make a summary of the first 4 abstracts. Again, Elicit is basically a paid version, but to a certain extent, you will get the papers, but you will not be able to download it. For downloading, you have to pay it. So this is the summary of the top 4 papers, and then you can have a total For all the papers, you have abstract summary. Even you can add columns. Like if I talked about methodology, I can add methodology into it. I can add limitations in the paper. What kind of limitation is there in the papers, right? So they have given me the columns that from which paper I can do. Now I can get n number of papers. There is no restriction on number of papers. So I got the n number of papers here, and I can create a table. Now to download the paper, these are papers, I have to pay it because you have to upgrade it. Otherwise,
name of the software?
It is Elicit, Elicit. I have talked about Elicit, Lit Maps, and Research Rabbit. You can use connected papers also to go ahead. So Elicit also helps you to to analyze the papers. That is abstract summary, methodology, limitation. You can add whatever columns you want to add. So you have all research gaps. What are the research gaps in the paper? But these all database that we are talking about, it is not specific to a one database. They are using multiple database and try to come up with the answer. Right? So there would be, see, as I already mentioned, it doesn't mean that every paper will give you everything. Like here it is written, there is no research gap suggested. They have not come with any kind of methodology or something. So that kind of thing you would be there. So you can make your own analysis accordingly. Right? So that can be done. So for today, I just explained the different frameworks, how to frame your research question, and few AI tools that you can use to do your literature review. ChatGPT is very good to do the brainstorming. That's it. I'll never recommend you that there and then use the ChatGPT, but for brainstorming, ChatGPT is very good to go ahead with it. Just to brainstorm and understand what kind of research concepts that you can portray in. But make sure whenever you are using ChatGPT, point is that what kind of prompt you are putting into. So that is very important that you can look. So for today, this was my whole. Is there any question you have? You most welcome. You can ask me.
Hello, ma'am. Sorry
Yes,
to
ma'am.
interrupt you. Ma'am, you introduced today Pico framework. Instead of Pico framework, any other framework like Prisma can we use?
No, ma'am, Prisma is not to frame a research question. You need to understand. Okay. Pico is to frame a research question.
Okay, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Prisma is not for your framing a research question. It's a flow diagram, yes, the process of doing your review. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Uktali, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have downloaded a CSV file from Scopus database on my research topic.
Yeah.
The Excel sheet. How can I use it for writing a SLR paper?
You have to start reading it and take it into any framework.
Okay, so I will have to prepare a separate manual sheet now after going through the CSV file.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Sandeep ji, please.
Yes, ma'am. In the process part, first one is design and second one is conduct. And the next part will explain in tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Ma'am, how can identify theory in paper?
How I can?
Identify theory.
Okay. See, you, just find a theoretical development kind of. So there would be definitely theories.
Ma'am, I read many paper of working capital management, but not identify even introduction and review of literature, we cannot identify any theory properly.
Pooja, you tell me what kind of research question you're looking into? Can you tell me?
मैम आई वांट टू नो दैट कि हम थ्योरी को और वेरिएबल को कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं मैम
आपका रिसर्च क्वेश्चन क्या है? वर्किंग कैपिटल में क्या है आपका? व्हाट इज बेसिकली योर ऑब्जेक्टिव?
वर्किंग कैपिटल डिटरमिन द फैक्टर अफेक्टिंग द रिक्वायरमेंट मैम, उसमें हाउ टू
अच्छा, द फैक्टर्स इम्पैक्टिंग योर वर्किंग कैपिटल मैनेजमेंट.
यस मैम.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, actually, the theory which comes, it basically comes from the psychology and human resource domain. So it is not possible, but it's very rare that in finance there is a theory. So that's why you are not finding theories in your domain.
That's what I've already mentioned. You will
Yes.
get theory everywhere. It is why we are saying all these frameworks are basically from what I have mentioned. It is from the science backgrounds and all. In finance also we have theories. Theories
We
doesn't
have,
mean
ma'am, but
that you
still
have.
there is some limitation. It's not possible that every paper will have some theory. It's not because if
in
we
the
are in
theory
a
part,
secondary database.
No. When you are talking about like factors affecting the working capital, now how you will justify the factors? How you will say, yes, these are the factors that are impacting? Why you will say, like, let's say, suppose if I say, like in the factors affecting the working capital, I would say the current market conditions affect the working capital. Now, there need to be some background that why I have taken that parameter. That I have to justify. So theory here doesn't mean that I need to talk about the theory as such that there is a Newton law kind of stuff. Theory means the justification of that construct. That need to be identified. And that is what? It doesn't mean that you can use your TCM. Instead of using TCM model, why you are using TCM framework? You can use, in this particular case, the best is to use 6W. You can use 6W, even that 7Ps also is very good to use in this particular framework. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is what?
It can also be possible, ma'am, that if she is not finding any theory in any some of the papers, then you can mention in your table. I have seen some paper, SLR paper, and they have mentioned it that there was no theory in the paper. Even I have also done the SLR paper, and I am from the HRM domain, and I didn't find any matlab, theory in my paper. Then I mentioned it. I written that it was not available like this in my table. So you can
It
do
is
that
not
also.
very specific that yes, TCM means that there should be a T. You can mold your framework. Like as I already mentioned, instead of TCCM, you can use TCM. Or you can use a CM model. You have to integrate and think what is the outcome that I am looking into. So these are the just frameworks to guide you that yes, this is the way we can go ahead. So that need to be. Pooja, I really don't know what your supervisor is talking. See, every objective, that what I am saying, हर एक ऑब्जेक्टिव में थ्योरी होना कंपल्सरी नहीं है, बट थ्योरी का मतलब ये होता है देयर शुड बी सम थ्योरेटिकल बैकग्राउंड दैट नीड टू बी. किसी पेपर ने कुछ तो कंस्ट्रक्ट्स आइडेंटिफाई किए होंगे, ऑन व्हाट बेसिस दोस कंस्ट्रक्ट्स हैव कम अप, वो आपको निकालना पड़ेगा. आपको वो तो सोचना पड़ेगा कि भाई ये कंस्ट्रक्ट क्यों आ रहे हैं, कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, वो तो निकालना पड़ेगा ना. और जो आप पेपर बोल रहे हो ना, आई विल रिक्वेस्ट यू पूजा, प्लीज revisit your particular paper. I don't know what your supervisor, but
कैटेगरी होती है A और B कैटेगरी मैम.
क्या पूजा? So please, okay, Vidya ma'am has said how to identify theories. As I already mentioned, there would be papers who have written theoretical background or theoretical development. Specifically for the papers where their hypothesis has developed, for hypothesis, definitely there would be some theory. on base of what those hypotheses has been developed. So that is what literature review is all about. That have to be done. That how that hypothesis has been developed. You can't develop hypothesis without any background. So that background is basically a theory. So anyone, anything else?
No, ma'am. Thank you for the session.